Hello, welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Lokko. Thank you so much for making time to join us for another edition where we look at the big stories for the week. When we come back, I'll take you through the stories that made headlines, and then we'll look at the different angles put across by the various media outlets. To stay with us, we'll be right back. You're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. I am Vivian Lokko. So, what stories made headlines this week? The first, which is still evolving, is the rerun for some 19 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency. We know that the EC is going ahead to conduct that election. The MPP says, the party says, is boycotting that election, but the candidate is going ahead to contest that election. How will that pan out? We'll be looking at that today and look at the various angles and stories around that election. But let's see what angles came out from that story this week. We'll go to the Daily Guide. They say Ablekuma North election rerun. NPP rejects rerun. The Informer says Ablekuma North election, we won't accept rerun. NPP vows. And then finally, City Newsroom, Ablekuma North, we are ready to face sanctions. In prior to MP backs Equia Efrie. Let's move away from that. A very sad development over the weekend. A story evolved all through the early part of the week, having to do with the death of a doctor from the Comfort Noche Teaching Hospital over the absence of some equipment. Let me bring you some angles around that sad story. My Joy Online says, doctor dies over lack of laboratory for treating, quote, heart attack, unquote. So that's one of the stories around that. Let's move away from that. Let's go to the suspended Chief Justice. She's still making news. The latest is she has taken the issue to the ECOWAS court. How was that captured? The new publisher says suspended CJ files new case at ECOWAS court. Ghanaian Times says suspended CJ goes to ECOWAS. And then My Joy Online says, CJ Tokono to ECOWAS court, my right to fair hearing breached, order Ghana to stop violation. So that's those new angles from the case around Justice Tokono. We move away from that, and another sad development this week having to do with the death of the Member of Parliament for Akwetia. Pretty sad one. Let's see how that was captured. Daily Guide says Akwetia MP dies at 40. The new publisher, Akwetia MP suffered chest pains. Brother gives a detailed account of his last moments alive. And then finally on that story, Channel 1 says Ernest Kumi was a fighter and a force. Samir Wuku mourns late Akwetia MP. So that's the second story we received this week, having to do with the MP for Akwetia. Finally, some good news, though, for students, first-year students, as the no-fee stress policy is launched. The Ghanaian Times says no-fee stress launched, 15,000 students benefit so far. And then City Newsroom, some reactions from that. Target only needy students under, quote, no fee stress policy, unquote, Professor Aite to government. So those are some stories that made headlines this week. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest for today. Stay with us.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
from social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters. Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensah.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked, welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Sanda Amadou as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yendi, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
Yeah, welcome back to what the papers are saying. Let me introduce our guests for today. Sami Wiafe is here with us at Channel 1 TV, as well as City 97.3 FM, was presidential correspondent during the Nana Akufo-Addo era. We also have Hansen Ajiman, our legal affairs correspondent, also here with us at Channel 1 TV, as well as City 97.3 FM. Hansen, welcome. This is your first time here, so together with Sami and our viewers, we say welcome. Welcome to the team, WTPS team. Thank you so much for joining us, and Sami, welcome to you as well. So guys, before I come to you, I'm going to go to Ablekuma North, which is the big constituency now in terms of discussions because of the rerun that will happen on Friday. 19 polling stations to have that rerun. Now, the MPP, as we all know, has said that it will boycott that election, but its candidate, Ike Afriye, says she will go. Let me take you to the constituency where she made that pronouncement on Thursday as both parties wrapped up campaign activities for Friday.
For this, I am contesting.
So how far with the campaign?
People, you see the way. You see the way there.
So how far are you campaigning? What's the preparations ahead of tomorrow?
We are fully prepared. What prepared for? Tomorrow we are going for this contest, and in the first place, I want to say a big thank you to Almighty God for protecting us throughout the 7 months. We went for election on 7 December, and I won this election with 34,613. My opponent had 34,199. We collated this thing together. My polling agents, their polling agents, we went through all that. And we have now collated 278 polling stations. Those 278 polling stations, I am leading. I am leading with 349. 349. We were left with 3 polling stations. And then the Electoral Commission came to Parliament, swore under oath that we are left with 3 polling stations. Overnight, we didn't know what happened. And then they said we are going to go back and collect 19 polling stations. Now, what I want to say or put on record is that darkness can never cover light. I am the light. I am the truth and the light. I walk with gracious God. I keep saying and mentioning God all the time, that you can never cheat me and go scot-free. The Lord is going to talk tomorrow. Justice will prevail tomorrow. I am contesting. I want Ablekuma North. Everybody should hear me and hear my voice. I am contesting this election, and I am coming out victorious because I want that election, and God will ensure that justice prevails.
So that's Nana Ekwia also free, the candidate for the MPP, saying she will go ahead, defying the party's directive for them to boycott. In a bit, we'll also listen to what the NDC has been saying so far on the grounds for the last day of the campaign. But the EC has also spoken on Thursday. They held a press conference to address some concerns raised so far, i.e. earlier saying just 3 polling stations, moving it to 19, preparations towards the election proper on Friday, among other things. So let's go to the EC's headquarters, also listen to what its officials have been saying.
19 out of the 37 polling stations. The Commission arrived at the decision to rerun the election in the 19 polling stations because the 19 scanned polling station results used for the collation, though approved by agents of both political parties, were not verified by the presiding officers responsible for those polling stations. The Commission's attention has been drawn to an unfounded accusation that it has been influenced by certain individuals to pursue the rerun. We state categorically that Ghana's electoral management body is an independent body and will not be dictated to by any person or institution.
And finally, let's wrap up with the NDC as well. They are confident they'll win this election. What have they been saying on the grounds as well? The NDC.
It's Irabana Obin.
The good people of Ghana on December 7, 2024, sounded a very huge change to the entire country. They sent a huge message to the entire country that Ghanaians were willing to change the MPP. And in most unconventional seats, the NDC won most of them. So Ablekuma North is no exception. And inshallah, tomorrow we'll pick it. If the MPP believe they won it and they can win it, the human beings haven't changed. It's the same people who are going to vote. So they should convince them to come out and vote tomorrow for it. It's as simple as that. If they believe they won it.
So some interesting statements from members of the NDC as well. Let me start with Samiri Afi on this matter. Tomorrow will be an interesting election. And it's interesting that Madam Ifriye now wants to contest, despite the party saying that it wouldn't. But your initial remarks on the journey so far to this point, I mean, 7 months, we've now gotten to the point where we are going back to the polls to see who win, and not in the entire constituency, but bits and pieces of it.
It's been long coming, and good evening to you and good evening to our viewers. It's been long coming. 7 months without a member of parliament is like you not being part of the development of a country. People draw comparison to what happened to the SAR area where for 4 years they didn't have an MP, and so the call was that we shouldn't have a repetition of what happened there. So the people of Ablekuma North should have representation. It boils down to the disagreement between the two political parties and the Electoral Commission's indecisiveness in dealing with this whole matter. Because when Dr. Eric Bosman went to Parliament on the 19th of June, we were all told that it was 3 polling stations. Now, fast forward, a week after, there's an official statement from the Commission that says that 19 polling stations are outstanding. The MPP as a political party, and the party they believe won the election will obviously be surprised at the turn of events. The more reason why the party decided that it wasn't going to contest this whole rerun, because it was a NEC decision. NEC took that decision not to run the election, and so for them, they feel that they've been cheated one way or the other. I had engagement with some officials of the party, and from the narration they gave me, at least the Electoral Commission is just trying to twist their arm, for want of a better word, so that they may lose their seat. But they say that no, that's not going to happen. The more reason why they want to pull out of this election. But it's surprising to hear a directive from the party that is not going to contest an election, and then the party's candidates, the one running on the ticket of the party, the symbol of the party, will come and say that she's going to run, even though there's a party directive. Then I asked myself, what's happening within the party? Is it that there's no leadership direction, or is it that the party is not telling us what's it's on the ground? I'm reliably informed that Ekwefuye held a meeting with the steering committee of the party and gave them a breakdown why she feels she can win the seat. The more reason why she says she wants to contest. She has some data to back this whole activity. The more reason why she says that no, give me the opportunity to go and pack. I know the party is backing her, but they may not want to come out publicly and declare that they are backing her.
Based on what they said earlier of boycotting.
Because Vivian, if the party is not backing her, why would the minority in parliament be on the ground campaigning now?
But it's not all, it's just a few of them.
I heard the deputy minority leader, Mama Pat, say that they are going on the grounds to go and campaign for her. Okay. I've seen Kennedy Japan on the ground.
Isn't that more to do with relationship?
It can be, but if the party has taken a firm decision, that means everybody must be whipped in line for the party's decision. So if the party has taken a decision and you get other people going against the party, then the party is quiet about it, it means the party knows something about it.
But we've not seen Dr. Bawumia there.
We haven't seen him there.
Kennedy Japan there.
We've seen Kennedy Japan there. We've seen supporters of other presidential aspirants there. Dr. Bawumia may not be there, but his agents or assigns may be there. Okay. Dr. Bawumia may not be there, but his resources may be there. Okay. Because already we are told that one of the aspirant for the presidential candidate has made a huge donation to the campaign of Madam Ekwefuye. He may not show his face, but his agents may be there, campaigning and doing everything for her to win. And so the question I ask myself is it that the center cannot hold, or the party, has, as they say in account, the party in any for them to do whatever they want to do.
Well, but from what you're saying, that the party may not be there, but is allowing for others to go there. Maybe it's indirectly supporting.
Indirectly. What I know, or what people have told me, is that the party is behind, but they do not want to show their face. But if you are behind, just come out publicly and come and tell us that you are behind. Yeah. If you decide that you're not going to contest, and later you come, no one will arrest you. No one will, run you down or anything.
But I think it's based on the statements they've said about setting back precedents, about the fact that you want, and so many about going to court.
There's an account saying that says Sankofa. We do Sankofa. So if I didn't have the data earlier on, now I have the data that backs that the candidate may do well. What is wrong if I come out to and say, this time we may want to contest? But then again, I also ask that in the event that Ekwefuye wins, if she wins, will the party come out, or they will still remain silent?
Okay.
In the event that she loses, Will the party come out or still remain silent? These are the two questions I want to ask the leadership of the party, led by what's the general secretary? Justin Frimpong Kodia. Because he, as of now, he's the CEO of the party. The party doesn't have a national chairman now. We don't know where he is. So he's more or less running the activities of the party. And
but we are told the vice.
Yes, so in the absence of the
acting, they don't have power like general. The general secretary is the CEO of the party. It's like an organization. They don't have to do
the
administration.
He should be given.
Acting has a limitation compared to the general secretary, who is the full man on the ground.
So you don't want to bring him into the conversation.
I don't want to bring the acting in this stage. So these are the two questions I want to pose to Justice Report.
If she loses,
would they be quiet or would they come out?
If she wins,
would they be quiet or they'll come out and come and congratulate her?
Okay.
And is a QFE also define a directive?
Okay.
Those are the questions I'm asking.
Okay. Well, I'll come back to you on her chances and other things. But let me bring in a new guest for today, Hansen Ajiman. Hansen, you've been following this constituency. You've been there a number of occasions, and you've been on top of the EC issues as well. The journey so far, your thoughts so far in getting here. Now, Madam Efriye is going, despite the party saying that don't go.
I think that one aspect of the conversation that has been relegated to the background has to do with the inaction of the Ghana police.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at incidents that occurred post the 2024 election, clearly criminal actions, and no deliberate step was taken by the police. In Ablekuma North specifically, a whole school block was burnt down, and that is why we are where we are. And the Ghana Police Service has said close to nothing on who has perpetrated what, who has been arrested, whatsoever. Apart from this, there are videos of some persons destroying public materials in these constituencies. And aside this, the Ghana Police Service has been adamant in giving its cooperation to the Ghana Police. Our cameras were at the old EC headquarters where the collation was being done. When the distractions were ongoing, there were police persons who were stationed at that particular office. Nothing has been done, no arrest whatsoever. So I think that we are here because the Ghana Police Service, when we needed them most,
but didn't they also feel intimidated? I mean, we all saw the videos of how some politicians, the officials from the EC were threatening, and how even some supporters of either were.
They are the institution.
The people who are supposed to protect me are afraid.
They are the institution mandated.
We saw threats in some cases. We were being told when we will do this, we'll do that.
It means that we are not safe at all because the institution that is mandated to protect us has not been able to do so.
Yeah.
And they feel that and I think that we need to be frank with the Ghana Police.
Are they ready for tomorrow? Do you think tomorrow, if there's
I heard Dr. Bosma Asari say that they will need military in some of these coalition centers.
Should we go with military?
Yes, I agree.
It depends.
But we've also said that the military should be limited. That this warrant the military
because I think the militarization of our security is becoming too much.
Yeah.
And it's important that we empower the Ghana Police Service to be able to do the mandate that they are solely entrusted to do, which is the internal security within the country.
Yeah.
So we need to call them out at that. But if you look at it, I'm not surprised that we are where we are, where the NPP are appearing to be saying two different things. If you know who Nane Efriye is, you won't be surprised at all. She's not an easy one. And for people who are close to her, they'll tell you that when she believes that she's in the right,
she goes all out.
It's very difficult for you to tell her to compromise on her position. And mind you, the decision that was made at NEC. This was a high-powered NEC meeting that had the party's former vice president, because of his role as former vice president and also the party's immediate past flag bearer, is a member of NEC. And also Alexander Penyo Markin, who you can describe as the de facto leader of the party at the moment, because he's leading the parliamentary group of the NPP. All these people were at the NEC meeting. Our sources within that meeting indicates that the discussions were broad. All angles were considered. That what if they go to court and they lose? What if the EC goes ahead with the election?
Yeah.
Then the party decided at NEC to say that it was not going to contest. And then before the press conference at the Ablekuma North office, there was a meeting with the candidate as well as a meeting with party executives. And at that meeting, it was stressed that that was the party's position.
Okay.
We also told that Ekuafriye during that meeting had made her intentions known, that she was going to
Is the party
contest.
afraid she will lose the elections if she goes?
From the on a personal level, I would think that could account for same. I mean, this is a party that has come from the worst defeat in our politics, and there's a party that is struggling to even reorganize. Series of factions or different factions have come out. Even when they're supposed to put government on its toes, you have various factions bringing internal matters for discussion.
Yeah.
So the party, and you know, because in Ghana we don't have a midterm election. So usually elections such as these, like by-elections that come up within the 4-year period, it's an opportunity for political parties to test their popularity and to test whether their message and their posture is resonating with the people. And I think that on a personal level, I would believe that 6 months may not be enough for a party that is coming from such a loss. But what I'm also told by sources is that that was not a consideration at all.
Okay.
The sources indicate that it was rather more of the precedent. The precedent being that with violence, when you're about to win, when you're about to lose a particular constituency, you can disrupt the data for collation. And then with this precedent that has been set, call for a rerun. And that is why the party on a principal level, and having regard to its history in 1992, having boycotted the entire parliamentary election to say that if you've boycotted all the parliamentary elections before, why can't we do it for one? So within the party, we are told that it is the principle and the fact that they want to fight against a bad precedent, and that is why they decided to boycott.
Okay.
But on the side of Ekuafriye, as I've indicated to her personality, but if you also look at the regulations of Ghana's elections, CR 127, when it comes to withdrawal, of course you can withdraw at every point in time before the election.
Yeah.
But when ballots have been printed, your name and data still remains on the ballot paper.
Yeah.
So even if the NPP had boycotted, voters will go to the polls tomorrow. No, and they'll see Nana Ekuafriye number 1, they'll see Rabin Obeng number 2. And so for who
have we seen the ballots yet?
No, but I'm sure they're going to repeat.
No, yesterday they were printing it, so we're sure by now it's.
By now it's printed. I'm sure by now it's printed. But
so we don't know who's number 1 or 2. Or same
I'm sure
they're using the same thing, and so on the thinking on the back of that, my name is going to be on the ballot paper already. Why not just put
go
my head
ahead
in?
anyway?
And she's confident that she's going to win.
Okay, let's look at her chances. Is she likely to win?
It's an MPP seat since its creation.
Yeah.
So the first member of parliament for the area was Kwame Nabatels, the famous Kwame Nabatels. And then I think he was there for three terms.
Yes.
3 or 4, one of them. And then Joe Appiah took over. And then Joe Appiah was there for I think two terms, And then Ekuafriye came in. Ekuafriye lost in that election and then in the primaries. And then Sheila Bartels took over.
That's
Kwame Nabatels' daughter.
Yeah.
And then she won. And then 2024, Ekuafriye stages a comeback, wins the primaries and contests the seat. Now, as to whether she claims that she won the seat, So if you look at the tradition of that particular seat, it's always been an MPP seat. So we are talking about Lokko, Kwashima, Sakama, that enclave. It's always been an MPP seat. But if you look at the numbers, in the last election, the NDC, I think the gap was about 25,000 or so. But in the last election, which was 2024, it was close. That the FKFA claimed that she won, but then when you look at the numbers, I think it was by just 400. The NDC have closed the gap very well. The more reason why they are very confident that they will win the rerun. But the MPP believes that because a lot of its members did not come out to vote, which has been the general cliche, that MPP members did not come out to vote, that is why the NDC was able to close the gap. And so, assuming tomorrow, the over 6,000 people who are supposed to vote in this particular 19 polling stations come out in their numbers. And out of this, the party says that 14 of these 19 polling stations are strongholds of the MPP. And so, assuming that the numbers, come out and come and vote for a KFA, the MPP believes that it will win the seat and continue the tradition. The NDC also feels that the current goodwill they are enjoying from Ghanaians may do the magic for them. They believe Arabelme has campaigned enough. She's more visible in the constituency. And the good works of John Mahama, president, may inure to their benefit. And so campaigning on the record of John Mahama in the last 6 months, the NDC feels that they have an upper hand. The more reason why they've dispatched a huge number of party executives there. Yesterday, I saw Malik Basentale there. I'm told they said Ketia was on the ground yesterday. And quite a number of them this evening, ministers of state and deputy ministers, are on the grounds to mobilize people to vote for them. So the NDC feels that the goodwill gives them an upper hand. But the MPP is based on tradition and the seat being the MPP's own all these years. So the two of them have been doing their own calculations.
So by now we'll know. Hansen, who do you feel will be declared?
Well, so of course it's an NPP. It's been an NPP seat since '96, but it's also important to look at the personalities here. So if you look at the person of Nana Ekuafiri first, she has done her politics well within the Ablekuma North constituency, being an assembly member for the Sakaman area. Between the period of 2011 to 2015. She's been the NPP's women organizer for that same constituency between that, and then that's 2017 to 2021. She NPP's women organizer became MP, between 2017 to 2021. And then she lost, became an ambassador, deputy ambassador, and then came back to contest as a parliamentary candidate for the NPP. And so if you look at, you can see a clear trademark of her within the Ablekuma North constituency. Beyond this, even though the constituency has been one dominated by the NPP, she's had the highest of votes when she was elected as MP in 2016. She won that with about 67%. In 1996, the party's candidate had 61%. Then it went to 65.4%. Then it came down to 57.5%. Went up to 59.7%. Then she took it to 66.8%. And so you could see that when she came in, she was able to better their numbers. Yeah. But of course, you look at the 2024 dynamics and look at the challenge to the extent that the NPP who had 169 as of 2017 had reduced to 137 plus 1 and now is clinging to 88. And so it's clear to say that the NDC, having made inroads in other constituencies, also made inroads in the Ablekuma North constituency. And that's why she keeps saying that if the results were collated, she was going to win with a 400 vote margin, which is less than what the MPP had been winning with in the past time. That tells you that the NDC is in for a showing. And the NDC has momentum on its side. Government in power, goodwill.
Yeah.
There are certain things going well for the government. I mean, the fuel is doing well.
Yeah.
And so with that level of momentum, and it had always been yearning for this rerun. And so I must say that within its structures at the basic level, it had been preparing its people for a rerun. This is against an NPP who you can say is divided to go or not to go.
Cannot hold.
To go or not to go. And
no, it's not to go. It's not to go. And somebody said, I will go.
To go or not to go. And so that together with the fact that the party is now trying to reorganize, you can't point to specific reorganization projects in the constituency after the 2024 polls.
Okay.
And you can look at what happened after the election. When party members, party executives were trooping to the coalition centers supporting the NDC, you could see less of the NPP.
Yeah.
And so it is Nana Akua-Addo's personality against the NPP as the NDC as a formidable front tomorrow.
Okay.
And that will be interesting to know how that will pan out if she can use her personality to overcome the entire NDC. And so it will be fair to say, yes, the NDC appears to have an upper hand. But of course, until polls are ended and the ballots are counted and declared, we will not be certain of who is going to take that seat.
Okay, so we'll see how that pans out tomorrow or Friday, where the two main political parties are going to battle it out on who will win the Ablekuma North constituency seat. Here at Channel 1 TV, as well as City 97.3 FM and all our social media handles, will bring you everything you need to know from the election proper, starting at 6 a.m. tomorrow till the winner is declared. So you want to stay with us, whether on radio, TV, or via your phone or your laptop or whichever way. This is the place to get the results for the election. Right, so gentlemen, I will take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the very sad story we received this week of the death of the MP for Akwetia. You want to stay with us? We'll be right back.
Drowning in deadlines, data running wild. Let's fix this together. Join the evolution. Join the sharpest minds in HR at the HR Connect Conference 2025 on August 8 at the Marvin Peak Hotel, Accra, under the theme Empowering HR Excellence, Leveraging Data, Resilience, and Wellness for a Thriving Workplace. It's not just another conference. It's strategy, tech, wellness, and a few smart laughs too. Panels, keynotes, real talk, and real solutions. Let's lead, connect, and transform the way we work. For further inquiries and bookings, please call on 0541 222 365 to secure your seat. HR Connect Conference 2025. Lead, connect, transform.
So welcome back to what the papers are saying. I'm Vivian Kai. Look, I'm here with Samiri Afi as well as Hanson Ajiman. We're looking at the big stories for the week just gone by in our discussions had to do with the rerun of some 19 polling stations at Ablekuma North constituency on Friday, July 11. Which will be bringing you a live coverage of all the developments there till a winner is declared. We'll move to a sad story, the death of the MP for Akwetia. Very, very sad one, Ernest Kumi. The Vice President early this week visited the family. We'll go and see what he said when he went there to see them.
Na yewo National Executive Committee meeting. Ena bibi ba chairman want me ne phone so. Na odi be kire me. Na meeting ni nyina sey eba ye no de obi antimi ankasa bio. Me de minti ase. Me dwen a minti ase. Because NS me no ye fa na o ye me nyanko pa prekope. Na me ta ne chipa ne election wa akutia chairman wa ha former chairman so wa ha. Uhwe mrahye bedwe no mo a me ngindi se obenhu obi a o support me chen NS we de enye mo nko a ye nyina ye ka ho MPP nyina mrahye bedwe fo nyina nti bibia mo be hihye bia ye pese ye ka ho amu ye mfiri mo yeso ye ka ho pa.
So that's former Vice President Dr. Bawumia. I mean, how did the news hit you? Where did you hear the sad news?
We were in the newsroom. We were in the newsroom actually when the news broke. And so we had to do our own checks. And then we got verification from the minority. And when the minority leader spoke in Parliament, confirming, that's when we knew that indeed the gentleman was no more with us. But it's really a sad incident. Vivian, in the last 5 years, MPP members of Parliament, 4 of them have died in the last 5 years. Since 2020 till today. So 2020 was the Fantiman MP, and then the Kumeu MP Baswa, and then John Kuma, and then we are recording that of NS Kumi. So if you look at the last, so averagely every year an MPP settlement of Parliament, dies, and I feel death is natural. You can't do anything about it. It will come eventually, but it's sad when it comes in a particular way. I was at the home of the late MP when Dr. Bawumia,
your microphone,
bending down.
Why were they not taking the microphone?
You know.
And they made you kneel down to.
I want them there. So don't worry.
The party.
And it was sad to see a young wife, turn into a widow at this early age. Family members were there. It was devastating, very devastating. You could hear them mourn, wailing, crying, and I felt, what they were going through. And per the narration given by the family spokesperson, who was a former DCU for Denchamboase or Akwetiade, he said that they came back from Takrade over the weekend, and then he complained of chest pains. They took him to the hospital, and before they realized he was gone. And I was like, oh, just like that? And Vivian, death really changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes everything. You may have plans, ambitions, and what you want to do, but then if it comes calling, you can't really do anything about it. And I agree with Dr. Kisi Adomako, the former MP for Anya Sotum, when he appeared on Breakfast Daily, that 80% of members of Parliament sitting in that chamber have BP and underlying health conditions. Yeah. And I agree with him. I have a number of members of Parliament are friends. Visit them, Vivian, and you see the long queue of people coming to see them for financial support or anything else. Some even come and tell them, I'm going to marry a second wife, so support me financially. And when you refuse to support them, that's where the trouble is.
You see where power lies.
They will go and tell everybody in their constituency how wicked you are. But because you are unable to support them. And I understand what they go through. Even those of us who do not even have political appointment, we get a pressure on us, even from family members and friends who are supposed, expectations to meet, people to help, and I feel the pain. I feel the pain of the family. All that we can say is may God keep his soul, may God comfort the family in this difficult moment, and I don't know. That changes everything. It changes everything.
Hansen.
So, I think it was the Wednesday. That was the day the MPP had the National Executive Committee meeting. Yeah. So I was at the party headquarters to report when the information. So they had been in the meeting for close to 2 hours.
On Tuesday, rather, yeah.
They had been in the meeting for close to 2 hours. Then we realized that lots of them started coming out. Just and we had been given an indication that the meeting actually had not been ended yet. But then because of the information, a lot of them could not at the time concentrate on the discussions. And mind you, the party had originally scheduled to protest at Iyoko over the continuous detention of Hanan. And so at that point in time, there was a bit of confusion. I mean, naturally, the instinct was that any other thing that the party had plotted to do should be on hold while they take steps to verify the information for themselves and be there for the family, to help the family mourn. And so I must say it was a difficult news to hear, because I'd been interacting with him, trying to secure an interview with him, and he kept saying that if his legal hurdles were over, he was more than willing to grant us an interview. And so just to hear of his sudden demise, and what makes it shocking was that there was no one. Of course, it's not as though death comes with a warning, but usually, I mean, if somebody has been sick for a prolonged time, I mean, it gives family and friends time to at least prepare for the unfortunate. But for a young man who was up and going, undertook party activities over the weekend, to complain of a slight health problem and to go to the hospital and not return home is a shocking one. And as Sammy said, it makes nonsense of everything. Vivian, this is, yes, he's barely 41. He has a BA, an MSc, an MBA, a BL. On that day, he was supposed to go for his moot, and then in October, be called to the Ghana bar. He had been fighting to be the NPP's MP for 8 years, since 2020 when he won against Amase. And you know how tenuous that particular election was. Come back in 2024 to have won it. And he was at the verge of being punished by the court, because he had been charged with contempt, which the court had found him guilty.
Even his swearing in was in the challenge.
His that was one of the major, developments.
And so he struggled all the under 41. Very impressive CV, and it all goes to waste just like that. Of course, that is that one phenomenon that we cannot entirely understand and be able to explain. And so we can only wish the family well, pray with them in this difficult time. The information that I get is that the NPP as a party tomorrow will be visiting the family as well. And then we know that the minority has been there. The leadership of Parliament itself has been there, and also Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has also been there. We can only wish the family well, and may he rest in peace.
Well, may he rest in peace. We'll move away from that sad story. I feel like it's become so sad. Maybe we should go to the no-fee stress policy. That's brought some smile on the faces of first-year students and all that. So that's another campaign promise fulfilled by the NDC government. If we can show some videos of some students receiving their cash, and then also if we can at a point go to Mahama. But before we go to Mahama, so we saw videos of the students rejoicing when they got the alert that the monies have been refunded. So if we can quickly have that.
The annual student loan of 2,550 cedis falls far short in covering university academic-related fees, which in some cases are as high as 8,000 cedis. And the tragedy is that they are required to pay these fees when they have not yet had the opportunity to register for the student loan scheme. These are not just statistics. Behind each number I mentioned is a face and a dream deferred. Tertiary education is not just about a certificate. It is the engine that powers a modern society. It is the engine that creates teachers, doctors, engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs, and public servants. And I'm pleased to inform you that we're also working on your trainee allowances. And soon, you will start receiving alerts for your trainee allowances too.
So that's President Mahama launching the no fees stress initiative, one of the campaign promises of the party, which has been ticked in the box now. Good one, isn't it?
It is. And I feel the NDC, and the government crafted this policy well to fill in the gap after free SHS. Because after free SHS, the challenge was the continuation. And financial issues was always going to be the problem, especially getting admissions to the university and the amount of money you need to pay to, get a hall, tuition fee and the rest. So I felt it was well calculated to fill in the gap for free SHS. If you're able to enter the first year, which is mostly the challenge, the continuing years, you'll find your way around it. So I feel it's a well-crafted policy, and the NDC has executed it well. But then again, the questions begin to ask is the sustainability of it. That has always been a challenge for us. Assuming the NDC leaves power, or a new administration, which is not the NDC, continue this same policy. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the costing of it. I'm sure till now we do not know the detail of the costing of it yet. So if we can have details of it, and if a new government that will take over will want to continue with the same policy and the cost involved, we must also look at that. What about the private tertiary institutions too? Is it only going to cover only public universities? Then every parent will want to push their children into public university because they're going to enjoy this. What about the private ones? Is there? I don't know if there's been an announcement about the private ones also getting benefit from it. So if the government can also let us know if the private institutions like the Central University, the Methodist universities will also be a part of it. And then we know that it's a broad thing. They've started with free SHS. Now they've included the private school, senior high schools in free SHS. Yeah. We are waiting for this one. Will the private tertiary institutions also be involved so that at least the parents there will also have something to mitigate their plight instead of sending their children to or their awards to the public senior universities. So this will be my comments on this policy.
Okay, answer.
Vivian, I think that for anything that tries as much as possible to enhance access to education is laudable, and the no fee stress policy does that, at least for the first year. Mm-hmm. We are told by government that it is seeking to restructure the student loan trust fund so that at least students can be supported for the years, ensuing years, that is for level 200 to level 400, where they will not benefit from the no fee stress policy. And so it's important that we keep an eye on it to make sure that it won't just be for the first year, and that it will be for there will be strategies to ensure that at least people can access avenues to be able to continue their education where money doesn't become an obstacle. Mm-hmm. I mean, funding tertiary education is not an easy one.
Expensive.
Even for those whose parents are able to pay, I can say that for a number of people who've been to tertiary schools, their parents or financiers are able to do at best the school fees. At best, the school fees. They are left to fend for themselves, books, which are also critical and essential to the education itself and for the students to have the peace of mind. And so it's important that we've gotten to a point where the parties are beginning to think in that direction to make sure that access is key and that financing doesn't become a gap or an obstacle to someone having access to tertiary education.
Yeah. But some believe that you may have sorted level 100. People still struggle through to the end. So perhaps they need to also relook at the different years or make the student loan the amount higher to support.
Yeah, I think the president even mentioned at the launch that they are planning. Because look at it, currently the average amount that you're eligible to is about 2,500 cedis. Some, depending on the course that you're doing, you can pay as high as 6,000, 8,000 cedis. So what happens to if the person is in level 200 and is dependent on the student loan, 2,500 to pay, there's still an outstanding amount of say 3,500. If
what
it's 6,000.
Where is he getting the money to pay?
So these are conversations we need to put our attention to, get the government to think deeply and look at how they can address it. And that is why you would begin to consider people who say that why not target it? And that is where the flip-flop with our politics become an issue. Because this is a government, while in opposition, had indicated that the free SHS should be targeted, had an opportunity to implement a free policy, but fails to target same. So, and you've had people like Professor Nezaite arguing that you should target it because the point is that there are a lot more people to support and the quantum of support that you can give should be adequate enough. And so if you are a party that has always been for targeting, then this is the time to show that you can target. And then if say if you target and you are going to support 60% of the student population, the 40% that is outstanding can make the support to the 60 more adequate.
I always have a challenge, sorry to butt in, when the discussion of targeting comes in. How do you segregate them?
Yeah, I was just going to say, is it easy
how
to
do you know
target
that?
in the system we run?
With the system that we run, how do you know that this guy's father can pay and this guy's father cannot pay?
This is the responsibility on the party that had consistently argued on targeting. I mean, they are the politicians. They had argued that you can target. And they say they know how to target.
I'm sure.
So I'm only saying that if you've had the opportunity,
the normal political,
show the way.
The political talk, but then because it's going to be difficult. So what? You are going to investigate the parents of every child, or you draw a roster?
Because you see, when it comes to even the higher education, you may, let's say, a family of 5. A family of 7, 5 children, and then the parents. The father and the mother are struggling to ensure that everybody gets to university. And maybe the one who is in university is the firstborn, and they still have to deal with SHS, JHS, and primary school. That parent may have a job, the wife is supporting, so it may look like they can, pay, but they are struggling.
Education is expensive.
Very expensive.
Very expensive.
So a family like this, if you target it and think they can afford, they may not be able to afford
and
it.
And the people who can even afford can tell you they can't afford.
Yeah.
We live in a country where there's dishonesty everywhere.
Essentially, the point that we're making is that there are certain points, and this is how it impacts policy making. Because these views that are being espoused are not views that are oblivious to or were oblivious to the NDC when they were in opposition. And so, yes, I'm saying that when political parties take certain stands, we need to hold them by that stand. It is upon that accountability that we can get value for the policies that we churn out.
All right, gentlemen, our time is up. We're being kicked out. Thank you so much for joining me today.
How is kicking you
How
out?
I know, actually,
I know.
Pearl. It's Pearl. Pearl will be, what's the new surname? McCarthy. You know, she's speaking in my ear, correcting me that, hey, I've read it's no more daddy's name.
How
is in a hurry to go, man? Okay, so we have to go, but thank you so much for joining us. We had Hanson Ajiman here in the studio with us, as well as Samuel Yafi, and you watching us from your homes or wherever you are. We'll see you again next time. Join us on Friday as we bring you the rerun of the Ablekuma North elections from 6 all the way till the winner is declared on TV as well as radio and all our social media platforms. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, my dear friend. I welcome you especially to Lifeline. One of the things I have appreciated in Scripture is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26, 27, 28. It talks about the fact that God created you in His image. That's heavy. You are created in the image of God. He said, let us create man in our own image and after our own likeness. And one of the blessings of knowing that you are created in the image of God is that you have the capacity to rise above every challenge. You have the grace to solve every problem around you. Last week we said the horse is prepared for the day of battle. You are capable. You have the strength to overcome this. All you need is a friend to hold your hand and walk you through. And that's what Lifeline is here to do for you. Don't go away. We will be right back.
This Sunday, prepare for a divine encounter. Edinam Bright Davis hosts the deeply anointed and ever dynamic Reverend Pajo Makwe on Adoration, a powerful time of spirit-filled worship and praise like never before. Tune in and experience the overflow as he ministers under the unction of the Holy Spirit. Let every heart be lifted. Let every soul be renewed. This Sunday at 10 a.m. only on Channel 1 TV. Don't just watch it, experience it. Adoration, where the presence of God is real.
Welcome back, my friend. This is Lifeline, the place where we hold your hand and we walk you through the difficult seasons of life. The place, by the grace of God, we give you solutions to every puzzle of life. Today, we will be continuing from where we left off last week. We started talking about a very important phenomenon, sibling rivalry. We have said that as long as there are families, as long as there are homes, as long as there are siblings, there will be some form of rivalry. It is not the problem. The problem is how well we manage, how well we deal with them, how well we are able to navigate through it and then turn this lemon into lemonades. Let this benefit us. And today we want to go into a little bit of the dangers of sibling rivalry. Then we will talk about the blessing of sibling rivalry. Then we will look at the solutions, how to manage it well, how to deal with this phenomenon and make sure that it is a blessing to families. I want to read to you a text in Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 through to 8. We will be reading a bit, but I just want you to have an idea, so please stay with me. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain, and said, I have gotten a man by the help of the Lord. And again she gave birth to his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a cultivator of the ground. Verse 3, and in the process of time it came about that Cain brought an offering to the Lord from the fruit of the ground. And Abel also brought an offering of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And the Lord had regard for Abel and for his offering, but did not have regard for Cain and for his offering. And Cain was very upset, and his face was downcast. Verse 6, and the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? And why is your face downcast? If you do well, will you not be accepted? If you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, and you shall rule over it. Verse 8, and Cain talked with his brother Abel, and it came about when they were in the field that Cain attacked Abel his brother and killed him. What a devastating effect of sibling rivalry. Cain could not contain. Cain could not handle the anger, the jealousy, the envy. And then he became so bitter that he decided to eliminate Abel so that it will be him alone. You see, one of the psychological reasons I believe Cain committed this harsh crime is because he felt that Abel was taking all the attention. Abel was taking all the glory. Abel was taking all the praise, and he was left out. So then when Abel is eliminated, then the spotlight will be on him. So he decided to take out Abel, and that was a big blow to the Adam family. And I'm saying to you, this is the reason it is important to nip this in the bud so that it doesn't grow. Because if you look at the stages of the emotions that Cain had to go through, it started with anger. He was upset that God rejected him and accepted his brother. Then it matured into envy. He became envious of him and jealous of him. Then it graduated into bitterness. He became so bitter, then he could not deal with his bitterness well, so he ended up killing his own brother Abel. So parents, we need to deal with this phenomenon. So siblings, we need to deal with this. We need to attack it. We need to profit from this. I told you last week that this phenomenon is not 100% negative. If it is managed well, it becomes a blessing. But before we talk about the blessing of sibling rivalry, probably we can talk about the negative effects of this phenomenon. First of all, if you don't deal with this well, it creates hatred and bitterness. That's the first negative effect. You realize that children are in the home, children are in the family. They are so bitter, they are hating one another, because then the spotlight is on one particular person and all the other people are lacking in emotional investments. Parents are not investing in them. They are not giving attention to them. Then they won't hate the parents. They will hate that sibling who is become a beneficiary. So sibling rivalry, if it's not dealt with well, listen to me, dear parent, you will breed hatred and bitterness in the family. When we look at the life of Jacob and Esau, we also see another effect of sibling rivalry, relationship challenges. If it is not dealt with, we separate children. Children become separated, or even adults become separated, and they are not able to relate well. Listen, jealousy is a very venomous emotion. Once people feel jealous of one another, every other sin can be committed on the platform of jealousy. So the moment you see it, you start dealing with it. When this thing was not dealt with, the Bible says Esau and Jacob became separated. For years they lived apart, because then Jacob had to run for his life, and then he went to be with his father-in-law, and then he was cheated. He went through so many challenges, he went through so many troubles, because their relationship was affected. Thank God, later on in life, they reconciled and they became stronger as siblings. But then if we are unable to deal with this well, it brings separation in family. You see, siblings don't talk to one another. Siblings don't relate with one another. Siblings don't, I don't even want to see you. I don't even want to hear from you. You are not receiving phone calls. Nothing is happening. We see also in the life of Cain and Abel, this phenomenon went as far as bringing death and bereavement to the Adam family. If we don't deal with it well, it can go as bad as that. Then parental heartbreak. You see, when I believe when Cain died, Adam grieved. His heart was broken. I believe when Joseph was sold into slavery, his daddy Jacob mourned him for years, and he could never recover. So this thing is not just on the children, it is also on adults. If we don't deal with it well, these are the things that will happen. Quickly, before we go for our break, let me talk to you about the blessing of sibling rivalry. You see, it is not all negative. As I said from the beginning, if we are able to manage this well, we are able to deal with this well, it has some positive effects on families. You see, understand that sibling rivalry is natural. Wherever you find siblings, this thing is likely to come up once in a while. But then if we deal with it well, it benefits us. People can grow. They can grow when they have dealt with sibling rivalry. They can grow and mature, because then it all has to do with problem solving. They will use that to build their problem solving skills. They will use that to grow. They will use that to mature. You see, siblings that have gone through these challenges and they have come out victorious, they look more matured. Then again, let me talk to you about this. Have you realized that when Jacob finally reconciled with Esau, their relationship became stronger? When they were younger, they always had conflict. They always had issues. But when they went through that family crisis, when they went through that relationship challenge, and they were able to deal with it, and by the grace of God reconcile, they became better siblings. So if this phenomenon is managed well, it builds stronger relationships. Another thing I have realized is that siblings that deal with this rivalry well, they build a good template for future relationships. Because I was able to deal with my sibling well, I'm able to deal with my spouse well. Because I was able to deal with my sibling well, I'm able to deal with my colleagues at work well. My boss and myself, we have a good relationship because I made all the mistakes at home, and I used that as a platform to train myself to be a better person in relationships. So even though sibling rivalry, it's not a good thing per se, if we deal with it well, we can benefit out of it. Isn't it amazing that children can grow out of this conflict, that children can be better relators out of this situation? It's amazing. So the key word is management. We should learn how to manage this rivalry well, how to help our children and even help ourselves. Sometimes you will realize that as old as you are, you may be dealing with rivalry. You may be 52, you may be 55, you may be 60, and still your siblings have issues with you, and this problem is still in the family. So the point is that if we are able to deal with it well, we will benefit from it, and it will be a blessing to us. We will be back. Do not go away.
They've shared everything, but now one twin is getting married and the other is left with questions she never thought she would ask. Is it wrong to feel